Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at how best and easiest to defeat this pesky final boss in this month's Uncollected quest, Nova. So now when it comes to the nodes, he doesn't have anything kind of like too special. He basically has extra ways how to gain his Nova charges, and they can become annoying because they can enable his auto block while he's stunned and let him go unblockable, but for most part they do not hinder you too much. And there is another node, Personal Space, which grants him more fury buffs basically the longer you stay nearby him, and that actually is a node that quite often helps you and can be cheesed, can be abused, and can work out for you. And before we jump in the fights, let's check out Nova's abilities. So basically his Awakened ability extends the duration of his buffs and gives him a bonus attack on his medium attacks when he dashes in. So ideally you do not want him to hit you or take hits on block from long dashes from Nova, because they will in fact hurt. And also it gives him access to auto blocks basically. But that is what it is. You can work around that, and we're going to show that in a moment. And then a couple more important abilities is basically whenever he dashes forward is he gains a chunk of power based on the distance of the dash. So the more he dashes, the trickier it gets. He starts a fight with the Fury buff, which is again a quite useful thing for you, and he really has some really annoying mechanics against True Strike, unblockable and guaranteed crit opponents, so those might be the champions that are best to avoid while facing Nova, because you will be dealing a lot less damage than you otherwise would. So Ghost, Corvus, Wasp, and a bunch others are better left out of this one. Even though if you don't get a True Strike mission on Corvus, it still works perfectly fine to a degree, I suppose. And yeah, anyways, so while he has Fury buffs, he has a chance to auto block, especially if he's above 50 or 75 no charges, I believe, because then they trigger through the stun as well and purify the stun debuff. And the crucial aspect is whenever one of his buffs get nullified, it prevents him from generating any Nova charges for like 6 seconds. So that's really, really useful. Other than that, the one thing you kind of want to be wary of is when he gets to 100 Nova charges, he is going to go fully unblockable. But that is provided via a buff, and you still have an option and a chance to nullify that buff and basically work around him becoming unblockable. Other than that, the main thing is that his medium attacks are energy attacks and make no contact, therefore he is a lot trickier to parry, and a reparry thing, as it has been called recently around here, is a quite useful skill to master. I might make a video of it quite shortly, but basically it is when you take the first hit on a block and parry the second hit. Either way, everything I said about Nova fight you can completely toss away, forget, and completely ignore if you have Awakened Ronin with a relatively high signature. Even a 4-star will work. And here the base idea is yeah, just spam your special attacks that node he has on that grants him more fury buffs. Basically will do the job for you and will provide Nova with enough buffs for you to be able to keep him constantly stunned. Absolutely cheesed boss once again, just like Silver Surfer was last month. This time it's Nova's turn, and Ronin absolutely destroys that personal space node, and it's kind of like super easy. You don't have much to worry. Just spam your level 1s, he's going to be stunned, and keep hitting him till he dies. Another thing is that Quake actually does prevent him from gaining power when he dashes in. Therefore, it's like super easy Quakeable fight as well. You don't have anything to worry about. You will not have to bait out his special attacks. Don't even need to learn the animations. Just sit in corner, Quake, easy time, easy life. And yeah, as always, basically, if Quake can be used, then she makes pretty much every fight really simple, really easy. As we can see here, he's not getting any power, he's getting stunned. We can evade all of his attacks. He doesn't have anything that prevents us from evading. And once again, super simple fight, not much to worry about. And a large group of champions who will do well, and we're going to talk a bit more after this fight as well, are Mystics, because, well, you have class advantage. Many of them nullify, and he isn't immune to anything. So Mystic Class destroys this guy. Here we can check out how to evade the level 1 in slow motion. Basically, it's kind of like one long beam and then he dashes in at you. Now, the dashback is quite weird, and for most part, I just end up parrying it. But evading that beam, it does take a bit of getting used to get timing down. But other than that, it's nothing too tricky. It's kind of like evading Cyclops level 1 basically. And yeah, here we can carry on with the rest of the fight. We can see that the Voodoo is well in control thanks to Nova's own Fury buffs plus any other buffs he does get, plus the personal space. He's constantly getting all sorts of buffs which we can convert into poison. Don't have much to worry about. If need be, we can drop a level 2 and power control him as well, make that fight super easy. Now, as I mentioned, Noah's medium attacks deal energy damage, and that also pretty much instantly makes Human Torch a really great option for this fight, because every time you take a medium hit in block, or you can block a level 1, which is like 4 hits or whatever, you can gain a bunch of smolders, and by doing that, obviously you increase your damage output exponentially, provided that you have some basic ability to fight him away his level 1s. Human Torch will melt this guy relatively quickly, especially if you, unlike me, don't evade those special attacks but dex them instead basically. But yeah, smolders come piling up in that fight extremely quickly. And as I mentioned before, Noah isn't immune to anything. Now that I did make a small mistake, but either way, point is, Noah isn't immune to bleed or poison, therefore he's perfectly susceptible to Archangel, and he can absolutely melt this guy as well via neurotoxins. Now you do have to be careful with the fact that he can in fact shrug off those stuns, but other than that, it's a fairly simple fight. Just parry heavy, especially if you can reparry. Now, another thing, just like before, personal space and Noah's own buffs do provide perfect healing opportunities for Venom as well, and as well as the fact that I mentioned, whenever you do get to nullify one of Nova's buffs, he loses some charges, he cannot generate new ones, and he becomes much easier to fight. Additionally, he's not bleed immune, therefore even Venom is a fantastic option against that guy. And here we can see Ronan. Ronan is worthy of mention because of his ability to parry projectiles, just like Proxima Midnight, just like Cal Obsidian, just like a couple other champions in this game. You can basically fight Nova as a regular, normal, everyday champ. Whenever you use one of these champions who can parry the projectiles, just like Ronan, and that does make fight quite a bit easier, especially if you're not that great with the reparry option. Now, because I mentioned before, and the last kind of like several shoutouts will be to different Mystic champions. Now, these aren't going to be the greatest fights because I am fairly limited on my time I have to record gameplay for this video, but either way, Mystic champions who nullify make fighting Nova extremely simple because they essentially disable his auto block and make it so much easier. Plus, it always works with Mystic Dispersion, gives you a lot more power, and just makes the fights a lot more simple, a lot more easy, not much to worry about. There, for whatever reason, I figured out I'm not gonna block the level 1, but the point stands. We're gonna drop our level 2, and we get a chunk of power back, and that's simple as that. Morningstar, perfect. Let him stack a bunch of Furies, drop a big level 2, and down he goes. Now, next fight is going to be Dr. Doom, and again, same idea. You can drop him, you can nullify his buffs, you can nullify his unblockable, you can slap him, you can do whatever you want with him. There is not much he will do. So yeah, all in all, I do think that Nova is a relatively simple, easy boss, slappable, you could say. But yeah, that is about it. Do I have another clip? Oh, here again. I did want to emphasize that level 1 is also relatively easy to evade. It's 3 hits hidden in a beam, and then he lunges forward at you. And that lunging forward doesn't really do much damage at all. So you can just block it or parry it, and you're going to be perfectly fine. Not much to worry about. And yeah, his level 2 is a bit trickier to evade. I haven't worked it down exactly yet. Neither I had too much chance to practice. If need be, I can record that in a separate video. But that will pretty much do for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, then hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, share it with your friends, share it with your alliance mates, and also do not forget to leave in comment section if there are any other great options, or if you want to see that reparry video made by me. But yeah, now for reals, I'm done, and yeah, hit all the buttons, and I'll catch you guys soon. Laters.